Alright, today's lesson is on some over our rules first. First one is don't forget integer rules still apply to all this. So as always, when we're adding and subtracting fractions, we're going to go ahead and find our common denominators. Number two, if needed, we're going to go ahead and borrow from a whole number, and by taking one from the whole number and adding the denominator to the numerator. So we're actually going to turn the whole number in our fraction into an improper fraction to use for it. Okay? We're then going to subtract our fractions, subtract the integers, and then simplify if needed. Okay? So our first one is 10 and 5/9 minus 4 and 7/9. I noticed that there are common denominators there, so I don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to go ahead and stack them up right now. So I've got 10 and 5/9, and I've got 4 and 7/9. Okay. One thing I do notice here is that I cannot subtract 5 from 7. So now it's here where I need to actually borrow from my whole number. So my 10 is going to become a 9. Okay. That 1 that I just took from the whole number is actually equal to 9/9. Okay. So I'm taking that 9/9 and I'm adding it to that 5/9. So it now turns into 14/9. That 5 plus 9. And that's what that means, that you're taking one from the whole number and adding the denominator to the numerator. You're taking one of those 9s and putting it up there, so it's 14 over 9. So now that I have a greater number over top here, I can go ahead and subtract. So 14 minus 7 is 7/9, and then 9 minus 4 is 5. So my answer is 5 and 7/9. Alright, number 2. Now I have some negatives I'm working with, so I'm going to go ahead and apply my integer rules. In this case, I don't want to subtract, I want to add the opposite. Okay. Now I have a positive and a negative, so they're different symbols, which means I'm going to need to make sure I subtract. So as far as which one I subtract, I always want to put the bigger one on top. In this case, my 5 is going to be bigger. So I do 5 and 6/7 over 4 and 5/7. Go ahead and subtract them. 6/7 minus 5/7 is 1/7. And then 5 minus 4 is 1. Go back to my original problem. The positive is bigger than the negative, which means my answer is going to be a positive. So 1 and 1/7 is my answer. Number 3, got 8 and 3/4 minus 5 and 7/8. Okay. So in this case, I don't have a common denominator yet, so I want to go ahead and do that. I have 4ths and 8ths, so I'm going to change my 3/4 here into 6/8. Okay. So let's go ahead and stack them. 8 and 6/8 over 5 and 7/8. I have to subtract them. I cannot take away 6 minus 7, so I'm going to have to borrow. My 8 becomes a 7. And then I'm taking 8/8 and adding it to this, so now it becomes 14/8. So 14/8 minus 7/8, 7/8. And then 7 minus 5 is 2. So my answer is 2 and 7/8. Alright, number 4. I do not have a common denominator, so let's go ahead and do that first. Looks like my common denominator for 5 and 7 is going to be 35, so it actually is 9 and 28/35 minus 12 and 10/35. I had to multiply this one by 7 and this one by 5. Okay. I don't want to subtract, I want to add the opposite. So I have a negative and a positive now. They're different, so I'm going to subtract the 2. Let's go ahead and put the bigger number on top there, so 12 and 10/35 minus 9 and 28/35. Okay. I cannot do 10 minus 28, so I have to borrow from my whole number, so 12 becomes an 11. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a 35 over 35 to it, so it makes that a 45 over 35. So 45 minus 28 is 17. Bring down your 35. 11 minus 9 is 2. Go ahead and look at my original problem here. I notice that my negative is larger than my positive, so I have a negative answer. So negative 2 and 17/35. Alright, so I want you to go ahead and pause the video now. You've got 5 problems to go ahead and try. Make sure you're following your integer rules as well as following all the steps when it comes to finding a common denominator, stacking them the correct way, and if you have to borrow, make sure you borrow. So go ahead and pause your video and try those. Alright, number 1 should have got an answer of 3 and 10/11. Number 2, negative 4 and 1/20. Number 3, negative 12 and 53/56. Number 4, negative 2 and 1/12. And then our final number 5, comparing. You should have gotten that 1 and 1/21 is greater than negative 3/14. There's the work that goes along with it as well.